What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Prem in USA podcast video. And today we have got a very interesting topic, I think. We're going to be taking some of the Premier League's brightest youngsters and rating them from generational talent to overhyped. And I'm joined today with my co host, FA, who's going to help me do this.
All right, so starting off, we have Olafemi at Southampton. Um, we haven't actually seen too much of him, but we have seen he is a very physical player. He's fast, and he's also pretty strong. And he's gotten a couple goals with Southampton, I think. But in my opinion, he's kind of ranging from okay to bad. I don't think he's going to be anywhere higher than Southampton in the future.
For sure. And I think something to keep in mind with these potential rankings, just because, I think bad, signifies that they're going to get worse. It doesn't mean that they're going to get worse. It means that they're not going to improve as much as they probably should, given their age. So I think he won't go any higher than Southampton. And with, players like Danny Ings, if Danny Ings is a Southampton level striker, then he's going to have trouble breaking into even the Southampton team.
So do you think it should be bad?
I think preliminarily we should put him in bad for sure.
I want to clarify to the viewers that if there are some youngsters you don't see here, we're not putting in youngsters that haven't played at all, like Tahith
Yeah,
Chong or Angel Gomez.
yeah, or
Just because
Taylor
this,
Harwood Bellis.
yeah, because we or Harvey Elliott because we don't have any. You can't really judge them that well, so I don't want to put like
Yeah,
because based on Harvey Elliott, we could say generational based on the one game he played, but that's not really good enough.
yeah.
Anyways,
All
moving
right.
on to Troy
After
Parrott.
that clarification, yep, Troy Parrott, the Tottenham striker. Obviously, there's a bit of bias here. FA and I are both, fans of clubs that have Tottenham as a rival, but I think, with these categories, I think good might be his home because good to okay, because I don't think Mourinho's not very good at developing young players. I think we've seen this in the past. So I think he might be hindered by that massively, if I'm honest. And the fact he can't even get in the team right now, I would actually lean more towards the okay because if he was good, I think he'd be given more chances in the team.
Well, I have to disagree here. I listen to other fans too much. But based on the performances in the Audi Cup, Tottenham fans say he's going to be world class. Now I'm not agreeing with that, but I think either good to great would be a suitable category for him. He's been playing with the Irish team, um, and under Pochettino he got some minutes. Although I mean, under Mourinho he's not getting minutes, but I don't think you can blame that on him. Mourinho just doesn't give young players minutes.
Okay,
So I think do
I
you want to go
think
in middle ground and
we
say good?
I think we'll go in middle ground and say good, and I think we might have to come back to that one later, personally.
Okay,
All right, next
Saliba.
up, this is one that you're gonna be okay. Saliba, I'm just gonna get this out of the way right now. I was scared when he signed him. If I'm honest with you, I think this guy's a good player. I think this guy's gonna, he's gonna if he stays in an Arsenal shirt for a long time, he might, cause some major damage. So I'm just gonna, bite the bullet and say this guy's either great or world class.
I think he's world class. He's carried
I
his defense at 18 years old. I
Yeah,
just don't know what to say.
pains me to say it.
All
Pains me
right.
to say it, but yeah, I will throw him
Oh,
in the
come
world
on. You're
class
going to have like
category.
30 youth players up there. Well, then we're coming up next. I wonder where you're going to put this guy
Yeah, all
at.
right. Billy Gilmore, the Scottish Iniesta, one of the greatest players, to ever grace the Premier League after his two games. No, on a real one, I think this guy, he's had two games. So this guy could turn out to be, as you like to say it, the next Jack Wilshere. But I do, every time he's played, and we have to base it on when he's played, this guy's looked exceptional. He's controlled our midfield. He was key into, in the two games he's played for us, and those games were both good performances from Chelsea in a season of somewhat inconsistency. It has to be said. So I think this guy, I have to throw him in world class just for now, at least.
Yeah, he does look very good. I'm just wondering, can you say based on two games he's world class?
I can if he's a Chelsea player.
I can't
So
really argue because I don't really have any counterpoints. And on top of that, you got man of the match in both games, I believe. So,
exactly,
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you probably can't argue with that. I'd say world class
yeah.
too.
That's for me as a Chelsea fan. That's one of the worst things about this. Obviously there's a ton of bad things about the current situation, but I would have loved to see how Billy Gilmore got on the rest of the season. Anyway, moving on to Brendan Williams, which I'm already sure is going to be a bit of a controversial topic. For me, I just don't see it. I think this guy's got potential. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see, this guy's not going to be the next great English left back. He's not going to be, on the same level that someone like Ashley Cole was. Or, as Manchester United fans seem to think Gary Neville is one of the greatest right backs of all time, I don't think he's going to be on that level either. I think he's going to be probably in the good category. I think he's near the Troy Parrott level.
You see, I don't know. The problem with many United fans, if you listen to them, then every player is generational. But the thing with Brendan Williams, I think you have to give him some credit. He's played pretty well, and he's displaced Luke Shaw, which isn't exactly an amazing achievement, but that is
Yeah,
pretty good. Luke Shaw is supposed to be the best England left back of the next generation. But I guess I would agree with you, and I would put him at good. He's made some mistakes, he also played pretty well.
for sure. I mean, I'm already aware we're going to draw a lot of stick for putting, two players in world class already who have played a combined two Premier League matches and, putting a player in good who's,
Hey,
played a lot more.
I'm just saying, Saliba is not. I know he hasn't played a Premier League game, but he has started almost every game for St. Etienne. So hey,
Yeah,
that's that's a top five league.
yeah.
Anyways,
Anyway, moving on
Mason Mount.
to, and Mason Mount. I think this guy, you know, again, I could see receive some stick for this, but I think this guy's got the great category written all over him. I think, his start to the season was pretty good. And, well, it was not only pretty good, it was exceptional. And I think if he can recapture some of that form, then, consistently, this guy's going to be in the great category. And I think, that's the thing about youngsters. They're inconsistent, and then the good ones develop. This guy's got fantastic work rate, good personality on the pitch, always tries his hardest. He's one of those players you really love to see because he gives it his all week in, week out. And I think with that kind of work ethic with him, if he can keep that up, which I, think he will based on what I see on the pitch, he will develop into a very good Premier League player, which is what the great category is designed for.
Read my mind. I think yeah, he is in between that good and world class, and I mean the way he played at the start of the season just looked incredible. Also, I just want to say his hair is amazing, so I'll put him in great.
His hair is amazing. I'll give you that, mate. Anyway, moving on to Reece Nelson. This I think this guy's got good written all over him. I think of the three Arsenal winger prospects being, Saka, Martinelli, and Reece Nelson, I think Nelson is definitely the worst of the three. I think, he has a good little spell in the Bundesliga. I think I'd put him on the same kind of level as Troy Parrott, although he could definitely move up in the future.
Well, I'm obviously going to be a biased Arsenal fan about it, but I'm just fact checking his. I'm just fact checking how well he's did, and I think honestly in the Bundesliga he got 7 goals and 1 assist in the Bundesliga, and he played 5 Champions League games with them. So I don't know. That is pretty good. I would have to say that is actually on a Mount level. I would argue. But again, that was last
This is
year,
true.
and he has struggled to start as many games as he did. Whether
Yeah,
that's
I
down to
think,
Pepe signing or Aubameyang put out wide, we don't
yeah.
know. But
I also think something that's interesting is Nelson will have a hard time developing because of the people ahead of him.
that's true.
So it would
But
take
that doesn't
Saka
take away from
leaving
his
and
ability
Martinelli leaving.
necessarily. That doesn't really
It
take
does
away
not
from.
necessarily take away from his ability, but I would throw him in the good category. I think he's in between good and great. I think that can be the catalyst that puts him in good. But if he has a good next season, I would not be surprised if this guy moves up at all.
Okay, I'll be nice. I'll put him in great and good.
All right.
Hudson
Next we
Odoi.
have world class player. This man, this guy can do it all. He can dribble. Well, he can do it all except shoot. Unfortunately, he can dribble. He can cross. This man is exciting. He's young. He's garnered interest from Bayern Munich already. I see this guy developing for Chelsea. I know you may not see this, but I think someone like Bukayo Saka is probably going to go into that world class category, and I think Callum Hudson-Odoi belongs there as well with his massive contract.
I think he's. You see, the thing is, he was actually looking like one of England's best wingers for the future. There were like thoughts people were saying he should start for England. Um, and then he got injured, which ever since becoming back from injury, he just hasn't looked the same.
Yeah,
He
but
can,
mate, you got to realize that he had the worst injury football can ever receive, which is a torn ACL. And this guy's gonna, you got to give him time to come back. I still don't think he's fully fit, to be honest with you.
but
Still
does that
thinks take
not
a long
does his
time to recover
performances
from.
not take away from? I mean, does it not mean his potential has been reduced because of injury? Is that not a good argument?
Well, because he's so young that I think he's still got plenty of time. And I think, with Pedro and Willian leaving Chelsea next season, I think he's going to get plenty of opportunities to play. And, if he doesn't produce next season, he's going to have to drop down. But I think right now, based on how much we've seen from him, I think he's got to be in the world class range still.
Okay, okay. Can we be fair though? I said Reese Nelson wasn't good and not great because of what we've seen from him this season. This season, Callum Hudson-Odoi has not been amazing, so I think we should put him in great.
We'll put him in there for now, but that is subject to change for sure.
Okay.
All right, next one. Fullback Diego Dalot from Manchester United. I think, I don't really need to talk on this guy as much. I think he's probably more in the okay range. I don't see him, Mourinho has again bought under Mourinho. Mourinho's not so good with young players. He could develop, we'll see. I think he's gonna have a hard time breaking into the team because I think Brendan Williams is a lot more attractive, of an option because he's English. You got Luke Shaw still, you have Wan-Bissaka, and I think, having an English player at fullback, who's perfectly capable of doing the job, I don't see where Delo fits. So I think he's going to have to move in order to really reach his potential. So I put him in the okay category.
I would agree. He is yeah, he Mourinho bought him and then I mean he got sacked and he didn't play much and then he didn't really start in Oli either, so I would agree he's an okay player. He could be good, but I don't know.
Yeah.
All
All
right,
right.
Eric
Next, we
Garcia.
have our first overhyped player, solely overhyped. We did say at the start that we don't want players who don't play very often, and unfortunately, Eric Garcia does not play very often, so he's going into overhyped purely because he does not play and he cannot get into the team. And the fact that he's not getting into the team over 35-year-old Fernandinho, who's playing at center back, which is not his natural position, that's really concerning to me. And I can't see him play, so I don't get to see how much talent he has. So for me, he's an overhyped right now.
I want to add this guy's under 6 feet and he's really weak for a center back, and I don't think that's very sustainable for the future. He needs to buffen up if he wants to become a starting center back.
Yeah. So I would put him in the overhyped category.
All right, Ryan
All right.
Sessegnon.
Ryan Sessegnon. All right. I'm going to argue for this guy. I like this guy a lot. Again, if we're going on this season, I think you could, talk about him like Reese Nelson, but I think he's a better prospect than Reese Nelson, personally. He's been linked with a major move to Real Madrid before he joined Tottenham, and he struggled a bit with injuries this season. I would have liked to see him make a few more appearances this season to really, show us what he's about, but I think he still deserves the great category for me.
I guess so. I don't know. My only concern was that he was unable to displace players like Danny Rose, Ben Davies, Jan Vertonghen was at left back. Although that's probably because
Yeah.
Munoz just doesn't want to play young players. And like you
See,
said, he
here's
has
the
struggled
thing,
with
though.
injuries. Yeah,
For Sessegnon, I do see him moving possibly further forward later in his career. I think he might be a better winger.
I can agree with that. And I guess yeah, I would. I guess I would put him. I think he's more victim of Mourinho than he is of himself. So I'll put him at great.
Yeah. I actually hope he gets a move away so he can really, receive full potential. All right, here's an interesting one: is Bukayo Saka, who's going to be, he won't be an Arsenal player for very much longer, I don't believe. Hopefully he does not sign a new contract with the Gunners. I'm sure, you might have different feelings on that, FA, but that's my personal opinion.
I mean, yeah, this guy's been phenomenal. I don't think he was started the season at 17 years old, which is like I mean I'm 17 right now. That's ridiculous. And this guy he has the most assists in the Arsenal team. He's playing at left back out of position, and he's been our best player other than Aubameyang. I don't really think you can say anything other than generational. Okay, I'm joking.
Generational?
World,
No,
world class, world class.
I'll put him in world class. I can agree to put him in world class. Although I'm eyeing up Hudson Odoi and thinking that he might have to move in there too at some point. But anyway, we'll talk about that more at the end. Moving
Mhm.
on, we've got Dwight McNeil. I think this guy's a good player. I think he's going to go into that good category. I see him as kind of in the same range as Parrott. and Reece Nelson. I think this guy at a bigger club, he would probably be rated a lot higher, but he is at Burnley, which has probably hurt his development a little bit, you'd have to say. And I think the longer he stays at Burnley, the worse it's probably going to be for his career.
I'm gonna
So
disagree again.
I'd put him at good.
I'm gonna say great. I think.
You think he's on the same level as Hudson Odoi?
I mean, based on what we've seen
See,
this season, yes, he's played much better than Hudson-Odoi.
yes,
This
but
guy's
you have to. Oh, the injury. You have to understand the injury. This guy is not on Hudson Odoi's level. This
the
guy is
injury
just.
made
He's just not
Hudson-Odoi. We
there.
can talk about Hudson-Odoi later, but I'm just letting you know Hudson-Odoi has been worse because of injury. Back to McNeil. McNeil's been by far Burnley's most creative player at 19 years old. This guy, if he was at Chelsea, you guys would be saying world class. I'm putting him in great.
Mate, this guy, like, I understand. I understand everything you just said. But again, some of these, comments you're making, he's the most creative player in Burnley. He's the most creative player in an very uncreative team. Who's really challenging him for creativity in that team? There's not very many options there. Whenever you play Burnley, you're not expecting, a flurry of passes, a flurry of creativity. And I think he's been hurt by the fact that he's at Burnley. I think if he came up through an academy at a different club, he might be, in the great to world class range. But I think because he is at Burnley, and I think he's going to stay at Burnley for the immediate future, he's got to go into good because I think that's the way he's going to develop if he continues his career at Burnley.
Okay, I'll be nice. All right, he's in good.
How's that being nice? It's being
Alright,
logical.
alright, 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 Oscar. I know you're butthurt that Hudson-Odoi isn't great. That's okay.
We'll see.
Anyways,
That's
Joe
subject
Willock.
to change. All
Joe
right,
Willock.
Joe Willock. All right, Joe Willock for me, he is an okay for me. I see, I look at Willock. I don't see him a future for him at Arsenal personally. He could surprise me. I'm not sure. You can definitely touch on this as well, but I don't see a future for him at Arsenal. I think he's definitely one of those players that is solely highly rated because he's English and young. He might go on to have a decent Premier League career, but I think he's going to go in the okay range.
I would agree. I mean, he had a good goal against Liverpool from like 25, 30 yards out. And he's played well in the number 10 role that has been given to him by Emery, but yeah, I don't know. He just hasn't started enough. I don't think he's gonna be. Yeah, like you said, he's not gonna be starting at Arsenal for the future. So I'll put him in okay.
All right, next up we got Fikayo Tomori. I love this player. Now, this guy is interesting because, at the start of the season, you could be forgiven easily for putting him in world class because this guy had a great start to the season. All the Chelsea fans were super excited about him. And then he hasn't really featured in the team as much recently, which is a little bit concerning. For me, because he's not featured in the team as much recently, I'd put him in the great category. But I still would leave him in the great category because this guy has all the attributes you'd love out of a center back. He could also play at fullback later in his career. This guy's exceptionally fast. You know, I think he is close to that center back of the future, especially if you pair him with someone tall. So I think this guy should be in great personally.
I agree 100%. I thought he was Chelsea's best youngster until Reece James came into the conversation, which we'll talk about very soon. Anyways,
Yeah.
Declan Rice.
All right, Declan Rice. One word. I've said this once. I've said it, a lot of times. Declan Rice is overrated. I think this guy, I would put him in the good category. I think he's still gonna be a decent player, but I think you're starting to see a trend of this, good and okay is filled with a lot of, will be filled with a lot of English players who, are only rated because they're English. I guarantee you, if Declan Rice was not from England, he was from France or even from Ireland, I think this guy would not be as high rated as he is. I'd put him in the good category, but I don't think he's in that typical defensive midfielder role of the future. I think he needs to work on his passing.
Yeah, what separates this guy from someone like Gilmore is that yeah, he can win the ball and there's not much else. He's very limited. So yeah. Anyways, Reece James.
All right, this guy is one of my favorite players. I think this guy should go into world class personally. I mean, this guy has a lot of attributes you love in a right back. He's very strong. He's got good attacking. His defending is already decent. Has plenty of time to develop. You look at him. And I'm not gonna compare him to Trent. He's not on Trent's level. But when you look at him, you are reminded a little bit of Trent because He's good going forward with the ball. He creates a lot for Chelsea, and he's still, despite him being one of our more potent attacking threats, he's also still capable in defense. And it's not a hole there. It's not like you're playing an attack. You're not playing a winger at fullback. You actually have someone who's also decent enough at defending and has knowledge of how to take the ball off players. So for that reason, I put him in world class.
I can agree with that. Um, he's an incredible crosser. I mean, Trent's obviously the best at it, but you could argue you could get there eventually. He's a better defender than Trent, and he's strong. He's also very composed. I think, yeah, world class. On to Phil Foden though.
Yeah. On to Phil Foden, who some people would expect, I think, to see generational from this guy. Definitely not going to see generational for me here. I think Phil Foden is one of the more interesting players on this list because we have not seen him play enough to justify generational, or I would even argue world class. I think this guy, Pep has said he's worth 500 million, best player he's ever worked with. I think that's both ridiculous. I think this guy should go into great, if not good, for now.
Yeah, I'm debating good or great too. Issue with him is that I mean, Pep talks about him. He's like, oh, he's the best player I've ever worked with, and he's worked with Messi. So kind of, he's really hyping him up. Oh, he's worth 500 million. I wouldn't sell him a Messi for 500 million. And then he won't start him over 33-year-old David Silva or give him a chance over Bernardo Silva. It's like, or Gundogan. Like,
Yeah, something's not
ah,
right there.
yeah, there definitely isn't
So
something
for
right.
me, for me, I'd put him in great
Yeah, I can agree. When
because
he's played, he's actually been pretty good. To be fair, just
yeah,
hasn't
I
played
think
enough.
he's got the talent. I think that there's something that's not right there. All right, moving on to Todd Cantwell. This guy's a good player. I think he should go into that good category. I think he's going to be, I could see him playing for a club like Everton in the future and being one of the better parts of their team. I think he's, impressed for Norwich this season. His stats are, pretty good, just a little bit worse than Mount's, which is why he's not in the great category. But yeah, I think this guy's a good player.
Okay, you say I don't want to put it. I wouldn't put him in great, but I just want to point out this guy. You say Everton. He's been linked with Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham. I mean, this guy's been linked with the top clubs, and he has been. I think he's been Norwich's second or third best player, and at his age, that's very impressive. I think he's better than you're giving him credit for, but I'll put him in good.
Yeah. The only last thing I'd say about Cantwell is, though he has been linked with Liverpool, is he going to play in the Liverpool team? No, he's not. Like that guy is not. I don't see him playing in the Liverpool team. So I know he's got like 6 goals and 2 assists this season. I just don't see it.
Okay,
All right,
on to
moving
Greenwood.
on. We've got Mason Greenwood. Now this guy is unfortunately scary because I think good player. I think it's hard to deny that he's a good player. He's featured for United this season at a very young age, which is very impressive already. And he's not looked lost out there, and he's looked pretty decent. So I think this guy should probably go in world class for that. To be honest with you, if we
I
can put
agree.
Gilmore there, I think this guy's got to go in there too. Just objectively, even though I hate Manchester United, he's got to go there.
Yeah. Also, the difference between this guy and someone like Marcus Rashford. When Rashford came on the scene, he scored a few goals. This guy's done that, but on top of that, you've also seen this guy is a natural finisher, something that Marcus Rashford is not.
Yeah,
I mean, he's made for scoring goals, so I think he deserves to be world class.
yeah. Next on, I think this is the player that would have been a world class or great, maybe great last season. But Matteo Guendouzi, I'm not sure where I'd put him right now. I don't think he's quite in that world class range. I know. Again, you could get a lot of stick for putting Gilmore in there and not putting Guendouzi in there. But I was really expecting a bigger jump from him this season, if I'm honest.
Well, he hasn't played bad. The only issue is that
No, he hasn't
his
played badly. He's just not played as well as I would have expected.
well, I mean, I just don't know what people expect from him. He hasn't come up with any. He's really a well balanced player. He's not going to come up with Iniesta pass, and he's not going to like be Roy Keane. But he can tackle.
Yeah,
He can pass pretty well. He's composed on the ball. I guess his only issue is that sometimes he has low concentration. He stays out of position. But I don't know. From what I see in this first season, he was a 19-year-old starting at a top four club. Like, well, sorry, top six club like Arsenal. Um, and he was really good. And then this year he just I think he stopped starting under Arteta. That's where it really fell for him because Arteta didn't like his attitude. But I think I would put him
Yeah.
in great based on what we've seen.
See, I would put him in good. I think he's got all the talent to be great or even world class. But I think that attitude is a big problem, and I think we've seen many a youngster fall victim to a poor attitude, and I think for that reason he should go in good. Even though Mason Mount might be slightly less talented, I think his work rate will put him eventually ahead of Wendy.
You think he's on the same level as Declan Rice? Come on, man. This guy has to be at least great. You like you just said, he was world class last season.
All right, I will put him in great, but I think there should be a red flag about his attitude.
This guy, I mean, I'm just letting you know. This guy last year around the at the end of the season, there was like they did the most valuable teenagers rating ranking or whatever. This guy was second to Jaden Sancho. That was how highly
Yeah,
he was rated. So
this is true. He would not be there now though, and you know that.
I know.
All right. Next is Max Aaron's a very promising fullback for Norwich City. Now, you said Todd Cantwell has been Norwich's, second or third best player this season. Now, I would say Max Aaron's has been better than Cantwell this season. I think him, Wendia, Pookie, and Cantwell have been kind of the stars of the show for in a disappointing campaign for Norwich. I think Jamal Lewis has also been all right, but I think Max Aaron is definitely going to be someone who stays in the Premier League next season, and I think I think either great or good is the place for him because I think he's going to get himself a nice move to a good club and then start continue his development.
Well, I would say good. I don't know. Like you say, he's been one of the stars. I mean, he's been really good. It's just I don't think the reason he's linked to teams like Arsenal and Tottenham is because he has potential. But like this year, I don't think he has like 10 assists or anything. I think he's just been
No,
a solid defender or a solid right back. So I would put him
I
in
think
good.
he goes in good. I think he goes in good. All right, the next one is probably the most painful one for me, so I'm just going to get this out of the way right now. As we've seen this season so far, Martinelli belongs in the generational category until proven otherwise.
There you go.
There are some players that could possibly move up into there, but I think as of this season, Martinelli definitely deserves it.
Can I
So
talk
he's going
about
to
this
go up
man for a
there.
sec?
You can talk about this man for about 10 seconds, but then I'm going to cut you off.
This guy has had over 10 goals this year, and he's been scoring against teams that are, he's been playing against Europa League teams from not just from Bate Borisov or Belarus, whatever, but he's been scoring against teams from Portugal, from these great leagues, and he's been scoring against Liverpool. He's scored against Chelsea to make Kante slip. Great player. He's gonna go to. He might leave and go to Real Madrid, but he'll be the best player you've ever had. Anyways,
Right. Okay. Moving on to another generational talent in Musa Janepo. I'm not sure about generational. This guy, to be honest with you, I don't know too much about this guy. I think, but he's been okay for Southampton this season. Southampton really have not set their world alight. I think if it weren't for Danny Ings, they really would not have been as good. So I'm probably throw this guy in okay. I know I've got a couple of friends who are Southampton fans who rate him a little bit, so I'd throw him in okay.
I would agree. I honestly don't know much about him. If any Southampton fans are watching or people who are watching, just let us know. Like if
Yeah,
we're
that
wrong or
one that
something.
one is definitely the most unsure of any we've had so far. So that one could be totally wrong if we're honest and we're not sure yet.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on to Moise Keane. Now this one's interesting because a couple, 9 months ago, this guy's in generational or world class talent. But at Everton, he struggled. He's not been able to displace Calvert Lewin. He's looked pretty poor. He's had attitude problems. So, for talent reasons, I'd still put him in the great category. I think this guy could definitely develop. But in terms, he could fall far down there, and it would not surprise me. And he could move up, and it would not surprise me. So, I think great's the spot.
I was gonna say good, but I guess you would have to put him in great. I mean, what we see at Juventus, this guy was just so. He just here's the next big thing, and when Everton got him, everyone was like, "Holy shit, dude! Everton can get in the top
Yeah.
four. This guy develops." But then I don't know, he got like 1 goal this year.
Yeah, the
So
interesting thing is the fact the transfer fee was not that high, and the fact he did go to Everton. That's the thing that concerns me a little bit. but I'm willing to give him another season in the great category because I think he will be better than Troy Parrott.
Really?
Anyway, I think so. I think he will.
Okay.
But moving on to Morgan Gibbs White, I think this guy, for me, he's either okay or good. He's looked, he's been fine for Wolves this season, and I think he could definitely develop. This guy, he's got talent, but for me, he may fall victim to the classic, English youngster who looks like he's got talent, but then doesn't really materialize.
Well, I have to say, him getting some chance in a team that has Jean Moutinho and Ruben Neves as their midfield too, I think is pretty impressive.
That is pretty
Um,
impressive for sure.
and it's just the fact that Wolves haven't really had that many youngsters come through, and then this guy just come in, he's played pretty well. I would put him in good, although he hasn't had as
I would
many
agree with
chances
that.
like a Dwight McNeil. I think he's played well.
Yeah. Next up is another Southampton player who, again, we don't know too much about him, but Jan Valery, he's done a decent job. He's displaced Cedric, but again, I don't think that's that difficult. For me, this guy's in the okay range because it's impressive to displace a, Premier League veteran fullback at his age, but I don't see him becoming, he's nowhere near the class of Reece James or Trent or he's Ricardo Pereira is my youngster, but he's nowhere near there. So I'd put him in the okay range. I think he'll be a decent Premier League player going forward, or a decent player in League One, or something like that.
I would lean good, but I can see where you're coming from. I'll put him in okay.
Yeah. All right, moving on. I think this is an overhyped player number two. It's Japhet Tanganga of Tottenham Hotspur, and this one for me is interesting because Mourinho and youngsters do not gel well.
Yeah, and I mean, I would also point out Mourinho's claimed he's given debuts for about 150 youth players. Someone looked into that and they found the only notable player he gave a debut to was Alvaro Morata, and that was because both Benzema and Higuain were injured. So he's not just because Mourinho starts a player does not mean they're good. It's in fact, you might say the opposite.
Yeah. Also, Tottenham have had their share of defensive woes this season, so I think, you know, it's almost like why not try him? So I think he's going to go into the overhyped category, and maybe that's unfair, but I do think that's where he belongs. To be honest with you,
Agreed. Okay.
something you have got to remember is not all these players are going to make it, and some players will be surprisingly good and some will be surprisingly bad, but not definitely not all these players are going to make it, and some will. In fact, this will be the best they ever perform in their career, and I think this
True.
could be Tanganga.
True.
All right, moving on to Tom Davies. I think, Gibbs White is in good. I think this guy probably deserves good as well. I think, he's done a decent job with his chances at Everton so far, but I think, he needs to show a little bit more to move up into that great category. Good little player. I could see him, not necessarily being like Ross Barkley, but being on the same kind of, he'd be bench player probably for a big club, and he'd be a starter, a decent starter for a club like Everton.
Yeah, I'll also say Everton have been very unstable while he's been there, and I think they've had like something like four different managers, and he has started under all of them. He not a single one has said, "Oh, I don't want to play you because you're a youngster." They've all said, "Yeah, you're good enough to play for us." So I think it really shows his ability.
This is true. I think this is probably going to be our third overhyped player, and this is Matty Longstaff. For me, this guy's a one-game wonder. He had one good game against Manchester United. He scored a beautiful goal, which was fantastic for me because I hate United. But I don't see this guy developing into something special. He's got a pretty poor manager for it. I think his brother's personally a better player, but I don't think either of them will do that well. I'd much rather have Tom Davies or Morgan Gibbs White or Todd Cantwell or Declan Rice, or even Joe Willock, if I'm perfectly honest with you, over either of those players.
I'll say I'm actually gonna say bad because I don't think he's necessarily like I don't think any realistic Newcastle fan thinks this guy's gonna be amazing. I just think they're happy that he had his moment, and I think all of them acknowledge that Sean Longstaff is much better. I think he's like an overhyped youngster. Nobody's saying he's gonna be a Ballon d'Or winner. I just think he's like not a very good one.
All right, I can agree with that. The
All
next
right.
one is the easiest one on the list.
Yeah.
Trent Alexander-Arnold, generational
Obviously
talent. He's got
overhyped.
all the yeah, no, he's got all the accolades to show for it. He's won a Champions League. He's going to win a Premier League, depending on what happens with this COVID nonsense. So this perfect generational talent, best, arguably the best right back in the world already, which is scary considering how young he is.
Yep. And I think the last one, Enkedia. Um,
I want to see where you put him first before I part comment.
I think he's world class. Yeah.
No,
Here's the thing. He's played good in some games, and I've seen some games like Newcastle. He's played utter dog shit. Although he has displaced Lacazette and he's taken over his spot in the team for a while under Arteta. But I don't think he's necessarily been. I don't think you could say he's played better than like a Declan Rice or Dwight McNeil or Reece Nelson. I'll put him in okay.
that seems like the place for me. I think he's kind of in that Willock range where, I mean, he could develop. He could definitely develop instead of Arsenal. But I think right now, I wouldn't see it.
All right. So any now that we have completed it, anything you're surprised though? Anything you want to change last minute?
The only last minute change I would have is I think we should put Callum Hudson-Odoi in world class where he belongs on alongside Bukayo Saka.
I disagree, mate. Bakayo Saka is much better.
We'll have to see, mate. But I think this guy should go in the world class. So that would be my last minute edit. You asked me for last minute edits. There's my last minute edit.
All right, I'll do it because you're a salty Chelsea fan. I'll do it.
All right. Well, anyway, guys, thanks for watching.
Hey,
Especially,
I
oh,
get my last minute
you get a
edit.
last minute edit too. Oh, unbelievable!
All right. I
What
actually
is he gonna do?
there's something I want to do. I actually want to put Willick in bed. I don't think he's as good as Delo or Janepo or Valerie.
No, I'm
So hey,
fine with that.
I'm gonna be an unbiased Arsenal fan. Say I was wrong. I think he's a bad youngster.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. If you tuned in this entire way, if you disagree with us, make sure to let us know, why you disagree and how we can improve our rankings. But make sure you actually use statistics instead of just saying, oh, he's better because I say so. Try and give us an actual reason, then we can actually have some sort of good discussion in the comments. And yeah, if you have watched the whole thing, then thank you so much, and please consider liking or subscribing if you've enjoyed. Thanks, guys.